Hey guys, Neofotis here. So, a while back I did a Q&A video, and I liked it. I like doing it. I plan to do more Q&A style videos, but at the same time, when I did that, when I was editing it, I was thinking, it'd be fun to do videos just every now and then when I have an idea for one, where I talk about whatever. When I had that thought, the first natural thing for me to talk about that came to my mind was Naruto. For those of you who don't know, either because you haven't been following me for very long, or you just don't read the text I put under images or whatever, or you just overlooked it or haven't come across it, I have a complicated relationship with Naruto. I've drawn it a few times, usually on commission, and when I do, it goes over really well. People like it, and I get frequent requests to do more Naruto stuff, and I don't, because I don't want to. I think it's fair for me to just leave it at that, just like, I don't want to do Naruto, and then that's kind of all the justification that's needed. At the same time, I like talking about myself, I guess. So what I thought I'd do is kind of go through my whole relationship with Naruto from when I first was introduced to it up until now, and kind of just look back at it and explain why I don't like drawing it. Because there's a very specific reason why I don't like drawing it, and I have explained it before, and some of you already know it. But let's take a look back. This is an unscripted video, just extemporaneous, off the cuff. So hopefully it won't be too much of a jarbled mess or too rambly. But here we go. I was first introduced to Naruto before it was popular. You know, I was like a hipster Naruto fan, I guess. I guess you could have called me a fan back then. Because I had a subscription to Shonen Jump, and they started printing Naruto in it, and I liked it. I was into it because it was, you know, the early Naruto I still think is good. Like, if I was to take just the part of Naruto that I legitimately enjoy, it would be from like the very beginning up until the end of the Zabuza storyline. If you're familiar with the Naruto arcs, and I know that's like a really small chunk of Naruto, but I find it really hard to care about anything past that. Both in the manga and the anime, both times I just kind of stopped, I lost interest after that part. But when I was reading it, it wasn't very popular yet. The anime hadn't been localized. Like, people knew Naruto, but not a lot. But I had it in the Shonen Jump, and I read it a lot. Haku was one of the first male characters I was attracted to. There's actually 2 male characters. It later became more like 4. But like, all of the male anime characters that I was attracted to started out in Shonen Jump, and Haku was one of them. And around that same time, I realized I was attracted to Yo Asakura from Shaman King. And then also, really all the characters in Hikaru no Go, but mainly, I think their names were Akira and Sai. I haven't read Hikaru no Go in a long time, but the rival character and the ghost character from Hikaru no Go, I was attracted to them too. And those were all male characters, and they were all really feminine characters, but they were like a good bridge or introduction into being more into yaoi content, which I wasn't originally. I originally was only into women because I was raised in a conservative household, and so that was kind of all I cared about until I realized that, hey, I can be attracted to these characters. I just have to like choose to, basically. Like, I know that sexuality is not a choice, but for me it was, because I have a kind of a different outlook, being asexual. So for me, it was kind of just like deciding to. I really liked the Zabuza and Haku storyline. Like, there's a reason that's where I want Naruto to kind of end, because that's kind of where the storytelling for me peaked. All the drama and tension that happens in the storylines after that, at least the ones I'm familiar with, I didn't care for it. But reading Naruto in the monthly magazines like that, it was drawn out, and it took a long time to get to that point. So there was a good couple of years probably where I was into Naruto. I did some Naruto fan art back then. I was in school. When I was in junior high and high school, I used to trace things to try and get a better handle on how to like adopt the art style. I had like a folder with Goku on it, and I would trace that folder. I would trace panels out of my Shonen Jumps, or the mangas I bought that weren't in Shonen Jump. I used to trace video game characters out of my video game magazines, and it was just to kind of learn these different art styles and get the hang of them so that I could then draw them without tracing them. So I traced several of the like splash pages and chapter covers from Naruto, because I I liked the characters and I wanted to draw them. So that was my early relationship with Naruto. When the anime started airing in America, I watched it, both with it and the manga. I just kind of naturally lost interest after the Zabuza and Haku storyline. And it wasn't like a conscious decision. I wasn't like, oh, they killed off my favorite characters. I'm never going to watch this again. I'm never going to read this again because those characters are dead. It wasn't like that. I did try to watch like the tuning exams, and I watched the stuff with Richimaru, and I just wasn't engaged. I didn't care about Gaara. I didn't care about Rock Lee or any of the other new characters that became more relevant after the Zabuza storyline through the tuning exams and the stuff after it. I just never cared about any of it. So in both cases, I just kind of lost interest. I never got to the time skip or any of that. But I didn't hate Naruto. I didn't think it was bad or have really a strong opinion on it at all. I just kind of lost interest with it. Much like I did with Bleach. I had a similar relationship with Bleach. And Bleach I still don't have a strong opinion about. When I was in high school, I did a series of pictures in MS Paint called Ninjas vs. Pirates. And it was just playing off of a real simple concept. But, I was taking characters from Naruto and characters from One Piece and pairing them up based on what characters I thought were similar enough. So, I didn't really have a problem drawing Naruto back then, even though I wasn't a huge Naruto fan. I just liked the idea of ninjas versus pirates and kind of playing to that meme. But, things changed with Naruto. So we fast forward a few years, and now I'm drawing hentai online. And I'm not big, but I do have commissions that come in every now and then. And at this point, I take every commission. Nowadays, I have enough clout that I can kind of be like, I can kind of discern what commissions to take. I don't have to take a commission if it makes me uncomfortable. At that time, I needed the money. I was in college. I had college payments to make. College books are expensive, and I had a job, but it wasn't enough. So any commissions that came in at that time, I took. And I got a client who I don't remember his name, but he also was really adamant about anonymity, but he would commission pictures that I did not like. Some of these were published and some of them weren't. If you were following my work at that time or have looked back at my work, really there's a small little collection of Naruto stuff that's all him, but he also commissioned Dragon Ball Z once. He had a lot of interest in mocking or belittling older women, so it'd be like a young guy with an older woman and some dialogue about how ugly the older woman was. He seemed to have a lot of issues with women. He seemed to kind of hate them. He also really hated Naruto, the character, but really loved Sasuke and would commission stuff with Sasuke paired up with Hinata or Naruto's mom, whose name I can't remember, or Tsunade. And most of the stuff he commissioned I don't think I ever got published because he asked me not to, and I just wanted the money, and I wasn't proud of these pictures anyway. At the time, they were actually, some of them were some of my most artistically competent pictures, but the subject matter I didn't like. And he kept commissioning me. Every time I finished a picture, it would be a lot of work, usually for something I couldn't post, so I would have, weeks worth of work where there was nothing to show for it other than the money from the commission. And my commissions were cheap back then, so it wasn't a lot of money. It was $30, I think, for a couple weeks worth of work that, again, I couldn't post to my blog. I just started getting this tension and apprehension whenever he would contact me, and it was always Naruto. After the first couple of commissions, it was just always Naruto. I developed this, anxiety tied to him and to Naruto because of it. Because I would get the anxiety when I would see his name in my email inbox, because I'd be like, shit, he wants another one. And at the same time, while I was working on the commission, I had this anxiety over all the stuff I mentioned, that for just a small amount of money, I was dedicating a lot of time towards something that I could not post. That anxiety became tied to the Naruto art style and aesthetic and characters. I developed a problem, basically, based off of it, because I didn't like working on them. He would commission, there was one picture I remember that was Hinata and the adult version of Hinata and whatever Naruto and Hinata's daughter's name is. I don't know the character's name, but it was the two of them being raped on Naruto's grave by members of the Hyuga clan. Naruto's gravestone was there, and they were on top of the grave, and I did a good job with it, I think. I think it was very good for that time period of my art style, but it was just like a bad picture. I didn't like the picture. I've thought about maybe like editing out the gravestone on that one and seeing if I could release it later. And maybe I still will. I don't know. There was other ones that I didn't release. Some of them I edited them and released them. Like there's a picture that did get published that's like Sasuke's like a pimp, and he's got several of the Naruto women like standing around, and they're dressed up like prostitutes. And the original version had some other elements in there, some of the like ageism that I had mentioned he was into. But like I edited it out to make it a little bit more tame and accessible. It's still not a great picture, but it's better. So that's where my initial conflict with Naruto came from. Eventually, he stopped commissioning me because I never like confronted him and told him, I don't want to work with you anymore. I was too spineless for that. What I did instead was this passive-aggressive thing where I added the rule that I could no longer do private commissions, because I knew that would be a turn-off for him. Because that was something he was really into, was commissioning something that I didn't release. So that's where that rule came from, was to try and get rid of him, and I started raising my prices. I think I raised my prices first, and that didn't dissuade him, but once I added in the all commissions will be published rule, that did. And I keep that rule because I think it also helps dissuade similar-minded people who are commissioning things that they don't want other people to see. I don't want to draw something that can't see the light of day. Like it's a waste of my time. And like it stresses me out to work on something that I can't publish, because I do care so much about publishing everything I make. I like doing that, and that's a big part of my personal motivation, is being able to publish everything that I draw, and that my time is spent towards creating content that fleshes out my library. Once he stopped commissioning me, Naruto just didn't come up again. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Like, I don't think anyone cared that I had stopped doing the Naruto pictures, because the Naruto pictures I had published during that period were so kind of tasteless. I don't think anyone missed them. But it was also around that time that I did start to kind of gain more momentum, and I got more people looking at my work, more followers, and once I hit a certain point, that's when the Naruto requests started coming in. I would occasionally do a Naruto commission, or make an exception for like a particularly loyal follower who had been like a real positive voice of encouragement or something, and then they wanted to commission Naruto. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that for you. But I didn't enjoy it, because what happened was, because of all the negative associations I developed during that period working with that one specific client, working on Naruto art made me like tense up. So I would be like tense and like physically strained working on it. Like my back would tense up, and I would get back pains working on Naruto commissions, or like I did one of my one-shots on Patreon was a Naruto one. Anytime that I was working on Naruto, or later Boruto, I've only done like one Boruto picture right now, but just working with that art style and those characters stresses me out, because I have these negative associations with it. And it's kind of lessened over time, because it's not something I want. Like, there's plenty of shows that I don't care about or don't like, but I don't mind drawing. Like Attack on Titan, I don't like it, but I don't mind drawing it. Other shows like Bleach or Sword Art Online that I don't have a particular amount of respect for, but I would have no problem drawing them if somebody commissioned me or whatever, or it came up in my Patreon one-shots or something like that. It wouldn't bother me to draw them, but Naruto specifically has that distinction, and I would like to rid myself of that, and it has lessened some. I don't get back pains. The last time I did Naruto, I wasn't in physical pain, but I was just like miserable and grumpy during the handful of days that I was working on that commission, and it just soured my mood in a really unpleasant way. So maybe someday I can rid myself of that and then draw Naruto a little bit more often. I don't know. My only real motivation too is that I get so many requests about it, and I don't like disappointing people. It bothers me that so many people apparently want this. Like, I have no great desire to draw Naruto. I don't have any good ideas for Naruto content, but I know people seem to like it when I draw it for whatever reason. I can't imagine there's any great like drought of Naruto content. Surely there's plenty of good Naruto hentai out there that isn't me. But for whatever reason, it comes up, and maybe someday I'll be able to do more. And it might just be a matter of time. It's been several years now. I don't remember exactly what year it was that those commissions were coming in. I want to say 2014, maybe? It's been a good while since then. All the progress I made since then is that it's no longer physically painful to work on Naruto. And maybe someday I won't even have the mood problems or just the general distaste for it. Maybe one day it'll be exactly like the other shows that I don't care about but still draw occasionally, like those ones I listed earlier. That's why you don't see a lot of Naruto content from me. And maybe when people ask if me saying I don't like doing it isn't good enough for them, I can link them to this video. I don't know. But until then, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And if you do see Naruto content come up from me and it's not a commission and it didn't come from Patreon, it's probably because I'm making like a concerted effort to develop new associations with the art style where it becomes more of a maybe not a positive thing, but at least a neutral thing. That would be nice. I just want it to not suck. So that's that. I don't know if this video is interesting or not, but it is what it is. I enjoy talking to you guys like this, and hopefully I'll have some ideas for other things that we can talk about in the future that won't be so like negative. So if that's the case, then I will see you all then. Bye.